Hey, happy Soulful Sundays. I'm swinging with Shep. This is my great uncle, Beris Shepherd. He since passed away. He lived to almost 101. His goal was 100. He got married for the third time on his 91st birthday in Las Vegas. My mom and I flew out. Well, I flew out then from Wyoming. I drove to Salt Lake and flew out. And then my mom flew in from Philly, because how can you're not going to pass up an invitation to see a 91-year-old get married for the third time in Las Vegas. So this CD he recorded, he's a musician all his life. His only CD he ever made, album, he was 98 years old when he was approached at one of his gigs, because he always played different clubs and things like that around town because everyone knew him. I mean, you got a 90-plus-year-old man who's still very alert, still writing, composing, scoring music, singing, playing the drums. He gave up the trombone a while ago because he just didn't have the breath to do it. He donated it to a music school. Piano, drums, singing. So yeah, you get an invitation for a 91-year-old getting married in anywhere. You have to go. That'll be me. That'll probably be me. I'll be getting married at 90. Like, girl, I met him. He's amazing. But anyway, so this is his only CD. So he was at a gig, and the music department from this Saddleback College approached him, asked him if he had just performed, asked him if he had a CD. My uncle was like, "No, I don't." My uncle played with other people like Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington, played people like that. So he never, and modern bands also. That's just the starting of the beginning. Anyway, he never recorded his own CD. So this music director from this school set up a time for him to come into their studio at school with a full band, which I love the horns and drum. I love the full, real sound, real music, real instruments. I like my modern day stuff, but from the 90s, that's my era. Real music, real performing. Everybody dressed well, sang well, played instruments. So anyway, the music director asked him if he wanted to come in and record a CD. I guess they had 2 days set aside. That he goes in there with his beloved, my Aunt Joy. She's passed away too. Blessings to her. I'm sure they're together. And side note, if he was married three times, how does that work in heaven? Like, are they all together up there? Aunt Pearl, they were married for decades. And then Aunt Joy, are they all together up there? How does that work? Anyway, so he goes in the studio. Aunt Joy's there. They say to him, well, let's go through rehearsal. He said, I don't need to go to rehearsal because all these songs, which I didn't realize are Frank Sinatra songs, a lot of them. He said, I don't need to practice. And he sang straight through the whole CD. I think is it 9 tracks? How many tracks is it? Me and my boombox from Sony. This thing really kicks too. If I have this, I'm downstairs in the kitchen, I can hear this all the way upstairs. Anyway, how many tracks are on here? Let's see, how many tracks are on here? Oh, I guess I have to close it. I just want to see how many. I think it's 10. It's 8. It's 9. So he went straight through and with no takes. Because he's been singing these songs since who knows how long. Since they came out, probably. So, look at him. He's so cute. I love him. I loved him so much. He was so great. When I lived in Wyoming, I got to go visit him in the summer. I worked for University of Wyoming, so I would have summers off. And a drive to Salt Lake is about an hour and a half, and the flight was probably an hour. So we really got to know each other. It was awkward at first, I remember. Because when we lived in PA, his sister is my grandma. He would come to visit every so often, but it wasn't a lot. And when he came to town, everybody had to go see this people and his army buddies and that person. So I remember very few interactions with him growing up. But when I got to be an adult, I went out there several times to visit him. And it was a wonderful time. You know, he's older, so it was a slower pace. He's a musician. I went to see him play at the Boom Boom Room in San Francisco. So yeah, a typical day with him would be get up. He'd make a huge breakfast. He's so cute. I just love him. Huge breakfast. And you all know you better eat that food. All of it. Don't say, oh, I'm not. Yeah, you better eat all this food. Then we would he would take me around, introduce me to a few people that he knew. Then we come home and take a nap, which I'm all for. And then we get up at, I don't know what time we would leave. But anyway, and then the first time I saw him perform, we drove down to San Francisco to the Boom Boom Room, and I watched his set. And then afterwards, we went to one of his favorite Chinese restaurants for dinner afterwards. And everybody knew him wherever we went. But it was just so wonderful just being with him and getting to know him and just being in his presence. He was such a kind soul. He was funny. He was charming. Always wearing this Kango hat. Always, always, always. Driving that big old Lincoln or Cadillac, and just a wonderful spirit, kind, generous. I remember him taking me to the John Wayne Airport and slipping me 100. I was like, okay. But yeah, just a wonderful, wonderful man and a musician his whole entire life, and made a career of it, made a living. The story goes that my great-grandmother, when he expressed his interest in music, that my great-grandfather did not approve, just thought it was silly, it's not going to amount to anything. But the story goes that my great-grandmother did not like my great-grandfather. I think he was having some extracurricular activities outside the marriage. So my great-grandmother, with her stubbornness and her, I'm going to say, hatred of her husband, dislike of her husband, we're going to say dislike, she would take in people's laundry, she made wine, she would go down to, what is it? The Italian market. They would take the trolley. This is stories from my mom. And they would buy the bruised fruit, and she would come home and make peach wine, dandelion wine. She'd take in people's laundry. She made her own starch, but she did all that to support the family. But to buy him, I think, a piano, trombone. I'm not sure what the first instrument is, but because her husband opposed it, she pushed it forward. So that's why he became a lifelong musician, because of her her dislike of her husband's ways. So anyway, love you, Uncle Beris. I listen to him every Sunday, and I just love him. He's a great spirit. Have a great Sunday, everybody. Be safe out there. It's, people are going to be partying Super Bowl Sunday. People are going to be drinking. So just be careful. Get a Lyft or Uber. Don't drive drunk, okay? Love you all. Be safe.